So in just a few years, your children are going to be old enough to start understanding politics and, the partisanship and how Parliament works. What do you expect that your children will think of your legacy?
Wow, that's a big question.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of Northern Perspective today. We have been following these two amazing patriots for the last 3 years on our channel. We've been commenting on their work in the House of Commons, commenting on their party's work as they held the government to account on ArriveScan, SDTC. The list goes on with all of the scandals that went on with this Liberal government. And we are one day away from finally seeing change in this country and bringing hope back to Canadians across the nation. So please give a very important and warm welcome to Pierre and Anna Poilievre. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having us. It's a privilege to be with you, and thanks for your incredible work for the country over the last several years.
Thank you so much.
I know you've paid a big price to do this work, but the benefit to the country, I think you'll find will outweigh the cost, and you are truly patriotic in paying that cost for all of us.
Thank you so much. So the interesting thing is you and I are both fathers, and I think we ended up becoming fathers near around the same time.
Yeah.
And when I talk to new parents or fathers that are about to become fathers, I tell them, be ready, because there's going to be a switch that flips and you don't even know what's going to happen. But as soon as it does, you go into father mode and you are ready to literally battle the world for your child. And that's why we started Northern Perspective for our son. That's why we fight as hard as we do and work as hard as we do. And my question is that why you are so passionate about this country? Did something trigger in you when your daughter was born?
Yes, very much so. I want her to have the same chances that I had when I was a kid, and she has some special needs like your little guy has, needs that I didn't have when I was a kid. But she's really an incredible, brilliant, brave, and very raw and real human being. She is, I like to say, she tells you exactly what she thinks and how she feels, even though she doesn't yet speak. When she's mad, she yells and stomps her feet. When she's happy, she laughs and smiles. When she loves you, she looks you straight in the eye and holds you tight. She is non-judgmental. She will walk up to a perfect stranger and hop in the lap of a little old lady she's never met in her life, just because she feels that that's a special person. And it's really incredible to see her unique and special ways. And she has abilities and gifts that other people don't have because of the way that God made her. So as a father, I'm very protective of her. And I know that we're going to make sure that she has a great life and has a lot to contribute to.
Now, one of the things that we're concerned about, with our son, and again, it's why we started Northern Perspective, is, Canada isn't that warm and friendly place that it used to be. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest problems in Canada is there's so much division, between families, between friends, between co-workers. So I think, the next prime minister is going to have one of the biggest problems that no prime minister has faced since Confederate Federation in 1867, which is to heal the country.
Yes.
So how will you go about healing those divisions and bringing our country back together?
That's a good question. I think we need to unite around the greatest thing about our country, which is the promise that it makes everybody, every single person, that whatever your background, however you started out, whether you've been here for 6 months or your family's been here 6 generations, if you work hard, you get a great life. The reason that is unifying is, one, it's for everyone. Doesn't matter what your religion is. Doesn't matter, what your political philosophy is, which region you live in. That promise is for everyone. The second reason is that it's not a zero-sum game. Right now we have an economy that is really zero-sum. Whenever the government controls everything, then if person A gets more, then person B has to have less because it's zero-sum. But with a truly open economy where we can create more for everyone, then person A can win and person B can win. In fact, they can win together. And that's not just true of the economy, it's true of our discourse when we have freedom of speech. Just because you've added your voice to the debate doesn't mean someone else's voice is taken away. It's additive. And that way people don't have to be at each other's throats fighting over a scarce amount of wealth and power. Everyone can get ahead. Everyone can do better. So the unifying principle of Canada for me has always been that promise. I know it sounds gushy and mushy, but it really is why people come here. Like why do so many people want to come to Canada? It's not for the weather. It's because they say, well, they come from a country where if you start at the bottom of the ladder, you can never climb up. But if you go to Canada, you might arrive at the bottom, but you can start climbing, and very quickly, in a couple of generations, you look at Anna's story. That's what we have to reinstate. And I think that will truly bring our people together.
So Anna, you are a very important part of not only the Conservative Party, but of this campaign. And I think you bring a very feminine touch to the whole thing that has, I think, traditionally been considered, I think the Conservatives have been kind of a man's party in the past, and you bring a feminine side to it, not just by supporting Pierre, but also through your advocacy for women and children who don't have voices, those that may have been abused or trafficked. How do you think we can get more women involved in Conservative politics?
I think that we are seeing more and more, and I'm very proud of the roster that we have of candidates. We have a lot of strong women, and Pierre's been very good at actually surrounding himself with strong women, not because they're women, but because they're good at what they do. And I think that that's also a wonderful thing. I think it's sort of a natural process. The more women you see involved, the more that, you can see yourself in the party and be part of it. So I think it's more of a natural process, and I'm always very thankful for the husband I have, because he's the kind of man who's always celebrating me. When he won the leadership race in 2022, he asked me to introduce him, and I had originally said no way. But he just encouraged me. He's like, you're such a great speaker. You're part of this. We're doing it together. And so he just propelled me, put me on the stage, and we've been doing it together as a team. And I think that the more you see that, the more women will see themselves. So it's a natural process, and very grateful that he's been pushing me for it and promoting women, again, not because they're women, but because they're very good at what they do.
Now, this question may take me a little bit to get through. We have received thousands of messages, emails, comments from Canadians across this country. Seniors that skip days without eating because they can't afford it. People who talk about the fact that they wish they could afford to have a family. People who, will never afford a home. People who have threatened to do the worst because they just lost hope. But you've provided that hope. And Canadians are really looking to this election, many of them, as their last chance for hope. What do you have to say to those Canadians?
Well, first of all, I want to thank people for vesting their hopes in me. I'm sometimes overwhelmed by it, because it's like people say the direction of their lives depend on my delivering for them. And I don't consider that a burden. I consider it an incredible honor, and I'm in awe of it. I'm actually in awe that people would vest that in me. I'm not someone who was born with like a savior complex. I don't think, I'm here to save the world, but I'm really here to give people back their lives. And I want those people to know that I'm going to keep fighting for them, that the hope that they deserve is on the way, that they have to get out and vote, because if they don't vote, there is no hope. But if they do vote, we can bring change, and we know how to do it. We did it. We had this in this country. We had a hopeful, opportunity-filled country not long ago, and the very same principles that created that country are just beneath the surface. So we can bring them forward above the surface. And you will, people out here are asking themselves, will I ever be able to afford a home? Yes, you will. Will you be able to live in a safe neighborhood? Yes, you will be able to be safe again. Yes, your kids will have a future in this country. So have hope. Change is on the way. We're going to keep fighting for you, and we're going to get this over the finish line. Thank you for being with me from the very start of that.
And if I can add, this is why it's important, though. Why are you doing this? And Pierre and I are a product of the Canadian promise. No, never you would think, coming from his humble background, having to fight for everything, being adopted, that he would stand on that stage and have thousands of people putting their hope in him. Never would have my dad, who is there today, think that his daughter would be there. So the why, we are a result of the Canadian promise, and that is so important, why we're doing this.
We want to basically give the next generation what we had. That's my purpose in politics.
And that's what you've been doing in politics too. So when I get upset as a wife, of course, when people talk about Pierre's experience. And also, I was a parliamentary affairs advisor. I worked in Parliament Hill, and I saw the difference between a very effective politician who knew how to get things done and someone who had just arrived. And with Pierre's experience, he knows exactly how you get things done, how to get legislation passed, all of the regulations. And that's what you need. Everything that you've done, it's exactly what we need right now.
Exactly.
Well, I think that all came out in your plan, especially the shovels in the ground initiative. That when we first saw that, I thought that was frankly brilliant, because that to me was a product of your 20 years in politics. You understand where the roadblocks are, what turns to take, and you know what levers to pull in order to actually get things done. And at the conclusion of that presentation, I said to our audience, I said, "This is what happens when you have a career politician. They know how to get things done."
Exactly.
Yeah, we need that. This is a country where things aren't getting done anymore. It takes 17 years to get a mine approved. We've got the second slowest building permits in the OECD. It takes 3 times longer to permit a project in Canada versus the UK and the US. And, you know, the great conservative leader, Bob Stanfield, said we have to stop stopping and start starting. And that idea, which you just described, is a very simple concept. We pre-permit. We say in this zone you can build these following things. The permits are already published and binding, so that businesses don't have to worry about 7 years of swimming through red tape to get to a maybe. They have a yes, and they can just get building. That's how we're going to unlock our incredible potential, build homes, pipelines, mines, LNG plants, you name it. That's how we're going to make this the richest country in the world.
So in just a few years, your children are going to be old enough to start understanding politics and, you know, the partisanship and how Parliament works. What do you expect that your children will think of your legacy?
Wow, that's a big question. I hope they will. I hope they know that the time that I spent away from them was because I was fighting for something that mattered to them and to people like them. I hope they'll. Right now, I don't think they fully understand why we're not there. I mean, we're away right now. We're on the road, and
In 2 weeks,
for 2 weeks we haven't seen them. They're with Anna's family. They came on the road for the first 2 weeks, and then it was getting to be too much for them. So they've been back at home, and you know, I think probably there's question marks in their heads. So where are my parents? What are they doing? They don't have any idea exactly what this project is. They've seen it. But like our little boy Cruz said when we were pulling up to one of the rallies, he said, those are Dad's friends. And there was 1,000 people in line up to get into the rally.
Dad's job is just to speak in a microphone. He just doesn't understand.
Yeah. And he loves the microphone. Did we get him the Tory microphone yet?
No, yeah,
He
he's
wanted-
stealing the one from the
He steals the microphone.
We'll start
from
yelling,
the
bring it
team.
home into it. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But my hope is that they will understand why we did this, why we weren't always there, why we were on the road, that it was to go into the world and fight for what we believe in, and that they should grow up to do the same.
Yeah.
With that, I know you got to run, Mr. Poilievre. Mrs. Poilievre, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a privilege, and I want to say to every one of your viewers out there, thank you very much for backing these two. They've done an incredible job for Canada, major sacrifices for their little guy, but also for all Canadians. And please continue to support them. And more immediately, you have to get out and vote. The future for our kids, for our country, it depends on getting out to vote. There's hope for a change. So let's bring it home.